we're going to backtrack a little bit and talk about some constructions and cores of skis that you might find out there. We did do a little bit of, we did talk a little bit about laminate and torsion box and cap skis, but I want to go into a little bit more detail about the actual materials inside the skis. This is a Solomon ski that we cut in half not too long ago. No, it's an older ski. It's been a while, but they haven't changed that much. Up here is cap construction with a sheet of metal, and it has an acrylic core. And this has 2 sheets of metal in it. So in this cap construction, you have the cap sidewalls come down, a little bit of fiberglass material next to the edge, the edges themselves, and the base material. Alright, so the way this construction is laid up here is, this has 2 sheets of metal in it, so it has a lot of power in it. It's a stiffer ski. So if you are a strong enough skier to bend that ski, you're going to drive a lot of energy and snap out of that because there are 2 sheets of metal in here. Right above the top sheet, and right below the top sheet, right above the base material. If you're a weaker skier, a lighter skier, or not technically sound, 2 sheets of metal might not make a ton of sense because you might not be able to get the ski bent that well to drive the energy out of it. So you might want to look for a ski that has less metal in it. Everyone's different. So what's going on here is they have the cap construction, which drives a little bit of torsional rigidity into the construction of the ski. It's a cheaper construction to work with as well. And then, instead of using wood inside these skis, what they do is they blow an acrylic core or foam inside of here. Alright, and the foam fills and hardens, and it gives some strength to the ski, just like the wood does. The benefit of the acrylic core, though, is it's light. So it gives it a lot of light, it gives it qualities of being light, but the construction in the metal give it a lot of strength, like the wood would. The only drawback to the acrylic core is over time, as with the wood as well, all the epoxies and resins, everything in the ski are constantly breaking down, and the foam does break down a little bit faster than the wood would. There are different densities of acrylic. Some are really hard, some are softer, and the companies just kind of dial in the ski construction based off of that. This is an older construction from Rosno of the Dual Tech, where they're using kind of a torsion box sidewall with a cap top. And they use this for a long time. They don't really use it too much anymore. But this ski actually has the same sort of construction. It's more vertical in the sidewall with a cap over the top. Edges, base material. But what they've done here is they have a sheet of metal up top, sheet of metal down below. They've blown foam all through here, but they also have 2 sheets of wood in here. So they're using a combination of materials to drive a certain torsional rigidity and flex. And the combinations are endless, and they're always driving different technologies here. When they hit a technology that is flashy and really works, they'll sell it to you and they'll write it all over the ski. But generally speaking, there's 2 things they're shooting for here. It's the torsional rigidity and the flex. And also some of these materials are going to quiet or dampen the ski. If there's a sheet of rubber in here, it'll help dampen the ski. Maybe it's something that they're going to put on top of the ski, like a double deck or a pro link or something like that. These are all just different ways of getting the ski to stop vibrating and turn and hold an edge. And then just to briefly touch on the wooden constructions that we looked at earlier, doing the same sort of construction here. The wood is going to be cut into laminates and then glued together. And they'll use different combinations of wood and different thicknesses of laminates, and they'll glue those together, and then they'll mill the core to the correct shape, and then they'll build up all these properties around the ski. Put a sheet of metal up top, maybe a sheet of metal down below, or a sheet of rubber. Build the sidewalls in, top sheet, clamp it, and then there's a lot of resin and glue involved here, and that all cures, and it creates the same sort of situation that the foam does. They're all different. Some are more expensive, some are less expensive. Some factories are better at producing cheaper skis that are made out of wood than foam. It just really depends. Okay, this is an example of a cap construction. The top layer is arched from edge to edge, and the top of the ski is rounded rather than flat. And sometimes the top sheet is reinforced and plays a structural role in the ski's design, but usually it's mostly cosmetic. Cap constructions in general are less edgy and more forgiving than vertical sidewall laminate constructions are. The torsion box construction. The core is usually wood. It's encased in a fiberglass sock, and then it's usually epoxy soaked and cured. Sometimes the sock is made out of Kevlar. It gets its name because it resists twisting. And torsion box construction is usually a lighter ski and still has positive edge grip at the extremities. This is a traditional laminate or sandwich construction. As you can see, the core is not wrapped in any sort of fiberglass sock or Kevlar, and it's prized for its power and edge hold. It's a laminate ski is built or laid up in horizontal layers contained by vertical sidewalls. The typical laminate construction has a base sheet and then a sheet of pre-pregged fiberglass, then a sheet of metal, and then the core, and then metal again, and then fiberglass, and then the top sheet. Also, these images were taken from skinet.com. All right, so I want to talk about stiffness of skis here. The overall stiffness of a ski is kind of a personal preference. I worked with the U.S. women's team and Roswell athletes, and Rossi had a bunch of different skis available to the athletes. GS skis, I know there's at least 5 models of skis you could choose from. And they were different stiffnesses. And overall, getting back to this construction, one of the girls I worked with was a very technical, very powerful skier. And a ski model that came out had 2 sheets of metal in it, just like we have here. Sheet right above the base and like right below the top sheet. It was a stiffer construction. And another one of the girls was from California, a really good skier too, but a little bit lighter touch and feel for the snow. And that ski that had the 2 sheets of metal in it did not work for her, and the ski that was a softer flexing version with 1 sheet of metal that turned easier worked really well for her. And when I tried testing that ski with the girl that I worked with, it was not fast at all. So it was a softer flexing ski. It didn't work for the athlete that I was with. The stiffer, more powerful construction worked better for her. So right off the bat, I'm going to say everyone's a little bit different with stiffness and construction, and it really takes a lot of work of testing and finding something that works for you. Really paying attention to skis that you've had in the past that work well, and taking note of their construction is really important in your career. In general, stiffnesses for kids that are racing, I'd say that you want to find something that is middle of the road. I wouldn't go too stiff or too soft with anything. With everything, even boots. If you get a ski that's too stiff, it's not going to turn. If you get a ski that's too soft, you're going to overpower it. If you're just not sure where you fall, it's best to try to find something in the middle. That being said, it can even be hard to find something in the middle because what's stiff and what's soft. And there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of skis to flex and check out between the brands, but then even within the brand. Stiffness of boot is a really important factor as well. Here's the system, the boot's up here, and the boot drives all the power. As you flex this boot forward, it drives all the power and energy into the ski. If you have too soft of a boot, you can easily get over the top of it, and you can just bend your knee into it and it doesn't really push back at all, you're not going to drive the ski with any power or force. If you have too stiff of a boot where you can't get over the top of it to get to the front of the ski, you're going to have the same sort of problem. You want a nice, even flexing boot that you can get over the top of, but not crush. And drive energy and get some flexion in your knee and in your ankles without being too far over the top. And once again, it's one of the situations where you're going to have to do some work to find something that's going to work the best for you. Trying on different boots, checking out all the flexes. Don't always go for the 150 flex thinking that that's what the racers are using, because a lot of times they're not. Try to find something a little softer, but don't go too soft. You can get a boot that is on the stiffer side. You can always cut it and make it softer, whereas if you go with a really soft boot, it's hard to make it stiffer.